Hello and welcome to part 2 of breaking down the absolutely unhinged plot of Game of True Love. If you have not seen part 2, linked down below, go check it out. Otherwise, none of this will make sense. We left off in part 1 right on the cusp of Shinjae and Shuno's dramatic relationship shift. Not only are they now in a contract engagement, they are also actually getting along. Fucking finally. As you can see, I have added in some more links. So they are a couple. It is the steps of their fucking age difference, and then I added their rivals, and they are mortal enemies. Mortal enemies, okay? Hate. Only hate exists between these two. They're always trying to destroy each other. Oh, and then I just split that and put Lin Chongshan on one side and Shenfen on the other. And it is Shinjae's mother. To show her thanks, Shuno shows up to Shinjae's apartment saying she's gonna cook him dinner. He teases her saying,
我怎么觉得感谢一下就挺好的。
Here we get their first real sweet scene. It is so sickly sweet. I want to vomit. Look at these two. Look at this. I love it so goddamn much. You don't even know. It's so good. Anyways, Shuno gets a call about her promotion event at the beach, which Shinjae expresses curiosity about. She says she could invite him, and he's like, "You expect a president like me to be your hype man?" And she's like,
咱们堂堂沈总年轻有为，英俊逼人，在滨海还是有不少粉丝。
He's like,
那如果是因为这个的话，我还是不去了。
which is a load of crock, okay? He shows up and she's like, "You said you weren't coming." And he's like, "I'm not here as the president. I'm here on vacation with my fiance." Oh, I guess I should change that. There you go. Now they are fiance. They are still unrelated. Should I put the little accent on top? Get extra fancy. All right. He is on vacation with his fiance. This man is basically in full support mode, but also very useless. He is just taking pictures of her the whole time as she picks up trash on the beach. But you get a glimpse into how passionately Shuno feels about this project and why she's going so far to promote it, despite the company not funding a marketing campaign. Editing Allie here. One thing I missed mentioning is how this project highlights key characteristics about Shuno's core values. At one point, she goes on quite the passionate rant about the environmental effects of the single-use plastic packaging that ends up on the beach. And it further fleshes out that similar sense of justice we keep seeing from Shinjae. This is such a great show don't tell moment from our writers, where we are seeing her core beliefs and values shine through the aspects of this project. It also does double duty by highlighting the similarities between our two leads and why, despite all of their superficial disagreements, they have very similar core values, making them compatible on a deeper, more intrinsic level. Shinjae is also giving more green flag energy here, which distances him even further from the other male characters in Shuno's circle. Similar to the solarium scene, I really want to emphasize how even though in the last scene he said he wasn't going to be her hype man, he absolutely is her hype man here. I called him useless, but I do think it's in part an act. He is very much embodying the work smarter, not harder mentality in these scenes. And ultimately, he is here to cheer her on, encourage her, and boost her success, which he knows he can do as both the president of Yuanfei and her fiancé. It's during this business trip that Shinjahe asks her why she chose him when they were in front of the reporters. Was it because she thought he'd make a good husband? And she says she didn't think that far. She just felt safer choosing him. And I think this heralds back to that conversation she had with her mom about trust, because despite everything they've both been through, and everything they've done to hurt each other, they are still two peas from the same pod. They have an equal understanding of each other. They've seen each other's worst and are still there protecting, supporting, and taking care of each other. If all of Yuanfei and Shu family fell apart, I think Shinjahe and Shuno would still have each other. Like the card on her cake said, I've known you for 20 years. There's just a different connection when you've been through that much with someone over that long of a time period. It's impossible to replace that kind of history. So it makes sense that he would feel like the safer choice. The problems arise after they return home. Shuming Li is in full opposition of their engagement and reminds Shinjahe of his threat to push him out of Yuanfei and Shu family if he pursues a relationship with Shuno. Shinjahe straight up lies to his face. He plays it off and just says that he's simply protecting her reputation.
Pop, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay.
A minor thing we're starting to notice as well is Chi's nice guy persona slipping. He tries to play it cool around Shuno, but to the viewer, it's very obvious he is bothered by the engagement. And he's having a hard time hiding his genuine dislike towards Shinjahe. There is some Baisha side story stuff here. Shuming Li is still trying to come up with the 4 million yuan to pay Xiamei's debts. Baisha is being crushed under the pressure of keeping her beauty bar afloat. She feels like Shuming Li has dropped the ball on her because Yuanfei's investment hasn't come through like he promised. This causes a huge argument between them. And I'm reminded of Shinjahe's warning to her about not being too greedy or she might lose everything. Her mom also apparently had an affair and scammed some married man out of a bunch of money, and the wife is hella pissed and demands 150,000 yuan. Girl is fucking stressed. She tells her mom that she is not her daughter anymore and to basically like fuck off out of her life. She is done. We get a bit more of Baisha's backstory. So she was being blackmailed by an ex to give him money when Shinjahe entered her life and offered her, to quote, a chance to climb out of this muddy hole. Her life is shit right now, so she gets absolutely tanked at the hotel bar and ends up having a one-night stand with some rando guy. The next morning, she breaks up with Shuming Li and blocks his number on all the apps. The rando guy ends up secretly leaving Baisha little notes and coffees and shit and eventually confesses to her that he likes her. He is only 23 and just graduated. She calls him Didi, which directly translated means younger brother, implying that he is quite a bit younger than her, and she is very directly tells him it's impossible between them. And he should just focus on working and making money and not worry about her because her life is a mess and she's got all these debts and shit. His name is Wu Tia. Shuming Li also proposes around this time. He asks her to trust him and says she can move into the family house and leave the villa to her mom. It's at this time Baisha finds out she's, drumroll, pregnant. Because of the use of contraceptives with Xiuming Li, she thinks it must be the one-night stand. She tries to book an abortion, but Xiuming Li stops her and tries to convince her to keep the baby. She decides to lose the baby somehow and resolves to get married to Xiuming Li before he finds out it isn't his. This girl, what a piece of fucking work, you know? Next, we get a meeting between Xiuming Li and Shenjia. They are going over the recent report of Shuno's project. It is an impressive report, guys. Our girl is absolutely killing it. Xiuming Li asks about the investment in Xiamei because the 4 million yuan debt has now been paid off. Shenjia's ears perk up at this, and he tries to inquire about where the money came from, but Xiuming Li tells him to forget about it and never bring it up ever again. Definitely not suspicious at all. Super convincing, bro. Shenjia also brings up a marketing director vacancy. He says they've interviewed a few people but haven't found anyone yet. He suggests that since it's based on performance and Shuno is doing so well, absolutely fucking slaying, obviously, as our queen does, they probably don't have to worry much about nepotism gossip anymore. I don't know what Xiuming Li's problem is, but he is still apprehensive about promoting her. Shenjia suggests they give her a trial period to see how she does, and Xiuming Li can decide from there if they'll keep her in the position or not, which seems to appease him. Our boy is always going to bat for his girl. Look at him. He's so proud of her and wants to see her climb the ladder of success. I'm so here for this green tea energy, guys. Shuno doesn't take the pregnancy news well for obvious reasons. She's crying in her room when Shenjia knocks and brings her some kanji. She expresses a bunch of worry that once the baby is born, she'll mean even less to her father, because at least right now, she's his only daughter. And I mean, look at the way he treats her. Jesus Christ. Shenjia reminds her that her mom has now moved on. She's doing better at Yuanfei, and that her world isn't just about the Shu family anymore. He says she also has him now, and as long as he's around, no one can shake her position. They are so disgustingly cute. I want to die. Baisha moves in. She brings her mom, who immediately mouths off to Shuno. I'm sure you can imagine how our very fiery girl takes that kind of attitude. When Bailan Hua gets in Shuno's face, she pushes her back, literally shoves her away. It's glorious in my opinion.
让谁滚呢？让你滚！
But Xiuming Li arrives at that time, and Bailan Hua fakes being injured. Xiuming Li loses it on our poor girl, like he always does. Freaking jerk face. And Shuno says she'll move out. Later, when Shenjia brings her dinner because she refused to leave her room to go down to eat, he says she can move in with him, but she doesn't want to lose the game. Yeah, that game. The one they're apparently still playing, even though this is what they fucking look like. There's more denial in here than fucking Bill Clinton's 1998 press conference.
These allegations are false.
Bailan Hua has made it her life's purpose at this point to drive Shuno out of the house. And she is so fucking nasty to her. I actually hate her character so much, especially because she's such a fucking shitty mother and also just a selfish, self-centered person in general. Shuno will move in with Dandan temporarily until she can find her own place, but everything comes to a head when Bailan Hua steals Shuno's jewelry, but not just any jewelry. The birthday gift she got from her dead grandmother. Guys, how low do you have to be in life to steal a gift from someone's dead grandmother? Shuno drags her out to bring her to the police. And what happens next is something I will never get over, okay? They meet Bai Sha as she's coming up the staircase outside. Shuno and Bai Lanhua are in a very heated argument. At this moment, Bai Sha throws herself down the stairs. Remember, guys, she is trying to have a miscarriage and uses the opportunity to injure herself and blame it on Shuno. Because Shuno is in such a heated argument and in the preceding moments after the fall goes into shock, she does not know what actually happened. And Bai Sha never comes clean about it, like ever, for the whole rest of the series. So for the rest of forever, Shuno thinks she pushed Bai Sha down the stairs, albeit by accident, but still, I'm calling autism on this one because the absolute infuriating anger I felt at the injustice is indescribable. Everyone blames Shuno for being this awful person for pushing Bai Sha down the stairs. Look at this. She literally threw herself. I'm so angry right now. Look at how not okay Shuno is. This is what shock looks like, guys. Bai Sha is traumatizing Shuno, and I hate it. I hate it so much. Shuming Li absolutely loses his shit on Shuno. He smacks her and is ready to physically beat her. Thankfully, Shenjahe gets in between. He actually yells at Shuming Li here. Thank God someone is on Shuno's side, because seriously, it bugs me so much that Shuming Li treats her so poorly. Like, she's his freaking daughter, yet he thinks she's the type of person to push a pregnant woman down the stairs on purpose. Like, bro, fuck right off. Seriously. Shuno ends up going to her mom, who also yells at Shuming Li on her behalf.
道歉，我看是应该你们先给我女儿道歉吧。
We're starting to see why Su Rong divorced him. My God, Su Rong is the kind of mama bear everyone needs in their life, okay? She is always giving him shit for how he's treating her. I actually feel happy that Su Rong left him because he doesn't deserve her. She's too good for him. Anyways, Shuno is still very distraught, obviously. She repeats several times that she didn't do it on purpose. And again, I want to reiterate here the fact that Bai Sha never clears this up and lets Shuno think that she did it is so deeply disturbing to me. Shinjahe finally shows up at the house and reassures them that Bai Sha and the fetus are fine. Su Rong tells Shuno she should move into the house with her, but Shuno says it's too far from work, and with her project just taking off, she can't afford to let it go yet. Instead, she'll stay with Shinjahe temporarily and stay with her mom on weekends. That way, it's easier for Shinjahe to pick her up for work. Do you see what the writers are doing here? They are using these plot devices to push our two leads closer and closer together. I'm not mad about it because it's believable. I believe that Shinjahe would pretend to be her fiancé even if he wasn't in love with her based on his actions up to this point. And I believe Shuno when she says Shinjahe feels like the safer choice because of their past and everything they've been through together. This then helps me as a viewer believe that Shuno would choose to stay with Shinjahe as opposed to, say, Dan Dan after something traumatic happened, because in the past, during traumatic times, it's Shinjahe who has been there to support her and gone to bat for her and also stood up for her. And I'm not saying Dan Dan wouldn't have done the same thing, but anyone who has that one person in your life who has always been there, if you know, you know. That's the person who you default to when you feel vulnerable because they feel safe. And even if you don't really understand it yourself or can't vocalize it, the feeling is there. So our leads are getting along and we love it. They are fucking adorable, let's be real. We finally get some fluff, which at this point in the story is kind of refreshing. Shinjaha gets a call from the care center about his mom running away, and he lies to Shuno about why he needs to go out. This isn't malicious, but through these scenes you get a better understanding of his past and the trauma he's still dealing with around what happened back when his mom abandoned him, even if he doesn't fully understand her reasons yet. Shuno knows he's lying because he uses Hao-en as an excuse, and she knows Hao-en isn't around. So she sees Shinjahe with Shenfen and goes to talk to her mom and ask some questions. Su Rong says they tried to look for Shinjahe's mother back in the day, but they heard she was sick and died. His father owed money to a construction company and unalived himself. Shuno goes back to the care center and confronts Shinjahe. He says he hasn't told anyone that he's found Shenfen because he doesn't want people to know she's not mentally sound, basically. Which, while mental health has come a long way in Asia, it unfortunately still has a long way to go and does carry a lot of stigma. So I understand his reasons for not wanting to publicize to others that his mom is in this type of state, especially because he's from such a prominent family in Binhai. Like, everybody knows him as the president of Yuanfei Group. So Shuno seems a bit hurt by this because she's not just other people, but girl, did you forget about the first 20 episodes of the series where you made it your life's purpose to absolutely ruin this boy? Anyways, the nurse comes running out and tells him Shenfen has run away again. Shuno says she'll check the security cameras and Shinjahe goes to look for her since he knows all the places she usually goes to, which we know from the last time he had to go look for her. We see Shenfen at a school fence holding a broken umbrella calling Jahe Jahe. Shuming Li drives by. Yeah, fucking Shuming Li. And sees her. He grabs her, pulls her into his van, and fucking drives off. Shinjahe is running through the pissing down rain, desperate to find his mom. Shuno finds him at the old house he used to live in. I say house, but it's more like a rundown shack. He is pretty upset that he can't find his mom. Obviously, it's pissing down rain. She's probably out there like cold and, you know, like as any son, he's super, super worried about her. Here we get a rare vulnerable moment from Shinjahe when he's talking to Shuno about the house and his life before he was adopted. She asks if he hates his mom for abandoning him, and he quite emotionally tells her that up until he was 5, she was the best mom ever. And despite them not having a lot materialistically, she gave him all of her love. He hates her, but for being so good to him, because it means that he missed her more. It's so sad, guys. I want to cry. Shuno tells him that she must have had some reason for why she couldn't stay with him because no mother ever wants to abandon their child. He gets a call from the facility that they found his mom. When they get back, Shenfen pulls some candies out of her pocket and gives them to Shinjahe. The nurse says she's been holding on to the candy, waiting to give it to her son. Shuno realizes at this moment that to Shenfen, Shinjahe is still the same 5-year-old boy. After when Shinjahe is talking to the nurse about how his mom got back, he learns based on the description of the man and the vehicle that it must be Shuming Li. Here we get Shuming Li ruminating about how much Shinjahe knows about what happened back then, and we get a flashback where Shenfen goes to the school to see Shinjahe. Shuming Li clocks her and drags her away. She tells Shuming Li she wants her son back, but he says no. He tells her that she isn't supposed to come back and she needs to forget she has a son. She says that she was so sick she thought she would die, but she's better now, and begs him to let her see Shinjahe, even just one time. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Shuming Li gets really nasty here and yells at her a bunch and ends up traumatizing her. She seems to develop what seems like dissociative amnesia. This is a mental condition that causes a person to experience significant sudden memory loss due to a traumatic event, acting as a mental defense mechanism to block out painful memories. In this case, I suspect it is the pain of having to give up Shinjahe and then being intimidated, bullied, and refused access when she wants to see him again. Dissociative amnesia can last for seconds or years, and there's no real tried and true therapy for it from what I could find, but most of it seems to do with confronting the traumatic event. Why do I always end up talking about psychology with these Chinese dramas? Realistic psychology. Well, you know, as realistic as it can get. More realistic than some of the North American shows, I think. Okay, after all this, we get a significant turn in the plot, and that is the end of the game between our two leads. It's absolutely disgusting. Shuno is like, this time we'll compete to see who loves each other more. Shinjahe tells her she's gonna lose. I cannot stress enough how insanely adorable our two leads are. At this point, they are so in love and finally not in denial about it, and we get the full honeymoon effect. If you've had a friend in a new relationship, you will understand what it's like to now watch our two leads on screen. They are so sickly sweet, I have a stomach ache. Shuming Li is now investigating Shinjahe, and we also find out Yuanfei did not approve the investment into Xiamei because of the last quarter sales report being so low. The shareholders believe the investment to be too risky now. Shuming Li says Shinjahe is playing the by the book card, basically using the shareholders as his excuse to not approve it. Shinjahe notices his files have been disturbed. Obviously, someone so meticulous doesn't leave anything out of place. He gets the camera footage and sees Shuming Li's assistant. They meet up at Shuming Li's request, and he asks about the company and whatever small talk, and then goes, "I saw you turn into the sanatorium the other day," obviously fishing for information. Shinjahe tells him the situation, like straight up, does not lie. Shuming Li always tries to be so nonchalant about things, but he is absolutely not.
Which is just classic suspicious behavior.
Shinjahe really plays it up with Shuming Li. Our boy is so good at this game. He hits hard with what really happened back then. How did my mom end up like this? We get this beautiful jaw clench again. This culminates in Shuming Li strong-arming Shinjahe to agree to go to their office in Singapore. Yes, Shuming Li is physically removing Shinjahe from the picture. Bro, way to be subtle about things. Jesus. So now we've got this new rising tension and increased suspicion between Shuming Li and Shinjahe. I mean, just look at our boy's face. Look at this. Shuno is obviously not happy that Shinjahe is just agreeing to be shipped off to Southeast Asia without so much as a fight. He is the president after all, but Shinjahe reminds her that Shumingli is still the chairman. So there isn't much point in arguing. It's also just temporary. He then tells Shuno he's recommended she be interim president in his absence, saying it's also a good opportunity for her as well. She jokes that if he leaves, she'll go enjoy herself wherever she wants. He counters with, "Aren't you afraid I might start a foreign romance?" And Shuno scoffs,
你开启一段，我就开启10段。
So fucking cute. Shuno consults Dandan and Shinjahe consults Hao-en. They're besties. They're besties. That's what you do. And both of our leads decide separately that they'll have to propose before Shinjahe leaves. Strike while the iron's hot is how they put it. Shumingli is, of course, pissed about the engagement. He is trying really hard to separate them. Obviously, he's literally shipping him on a plane away. He even resorts to asking Su Rong to intervene, except she's still pissed that he hit Shuno because of Bai Sha. She says he's fighting it so hard and asks if he's hiding something from her. He denies it, but guys, come on. This is Shumingli.
Don't be suspicious. No. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Su Rong says she's not only going to support them, but she's going to the wedding to see their happiness firsthand. Fucking queen, okay? Shinjahe and Shuno also announce the news to Shen Fen, who completely freaks out and says no marriage. Man, there are more red flags here than a Dustin Pointer video. Like, what the fuck is going on, guys?
I am more nervous than a zipper on a pair of jeans before Thanksgiving.
So we now jump ahead 6 months. Bai Sha is 9 months pregnant now. Her and Shumingli are still fighting about money and Shamei. The company that was supposed to invest is now suing them. We, the viewer, find out Chihao is the one behind everything in a plot to catch Shumingli on fraud charges. It is a fucking mess, okay? As is every Bai Sha plot point up to this point. We get Shinjahe speaking to Aoji about what's going on and how they're still trying to find evidence on Shumingli's money laundering. Shinjahe says one of the worst things Shumingli did was send him to Singapore because he was able to get outgoing records of the money he laundered through his offshore operations. He tells Aoji to check bank cards to see if the transactions line up. If they find enough evidence, they can initiate a financial audit. Shinjahe surprises Shuno by coming for a visit ahead of the wedding. That's in 1 month. But before they can even properly see each other, they both get a message about a meeting that afternoon to remove the chairman. Is it Shinjahe's digging? We don't know because he looks surprised. We also get some of Shinjahe's thoughts, of which one of them is, how could Su Ting get these records? The shareholders vote to suspend Shumingli as chairman during the investigation of offshore account stuff. Su Ting nominates Shinjahe to be the chairman. He says he's flattered, and while he is back at the main company in Binhai, he still has work to wrap up in Singapore. Therefore, Shinjahe nominates Shumingli's daughter, Shuno, to be chairman during this time, of which everyone seems agreeable to, and so they vote her in as chairman. Again, he is literally pushing her to the highest ranks, okay? He just wants her to succeed. I love it so much. Shumingli and Shinjahe meet later, and they don't exactly get into an argument because Shinjahe is our composed boy, but we get some absolutely divine glares. Xu Mingli is upset at Shen Jiahe's betrayal because Xu Mingli thinks he's the one who sent the files to Su Ting. But we know it wasn't. Shen Jiahe says this is the price of greed. Because remember, from the very beginning, he is on the side of justice and believes people should get what they deserve. But here he rubs salt in the wound a bit, telling Xu Mingli he can solve his money problem. Shen Jiahe tells Xu Mingli to pledge his shares to him. This angers Xu Mingli, and he calls Shen Jiahe ungrateful. But this is a ploy on Shen Jiahe's part to get Su Rong's shares back, so he can in turn give them to Xu No, who should be the rightful owner of them. Again, man, he's just everything for his girl. So here we also finally get the confrontation between the two about what happened to Lin Chongshan, who is Shen Jiahe's bio dad. I gotta add a line. Xu Mingli says there must be a misunderstanding because Lin Chongshan's death was an accident, but Shen Jiahe calls him a liar. He drops a few bombs in his accusations. Then why didn't you tell me after all these years you found my mom? You sent her to the mental hospital, threatened her, and caused her to go insane just to cover up the mistakes you made. Can someone please tell me why in these Chinese dramas, information like this is always just casually dropped in conversation, in an argument, and is just never visited? It's never revisited. Shen Jiahe demands Xu Mingli apologize to his mom. He asks what for. Shen Jiahe says he must forget how many things he has on him now. Boy literally needs to threaten this man just to get an apology for making his mom go fucking crazy. So Xu Mingli does apologize, but Shen Jiahe tells him to kneel down. It takes a bit of convincing, but eventually he does. Again, you know, boy doesn't want to go to jail. Xu Mingli has only one request, which is to not tell Xu No about this, because he doesn't want to lose her love. Make it make fucking sense. What do you mean you don't want to lose her love? They're already so on the rocks, you know, I guess he just doesn't want her to tip over the edge and like go no contact or something at this point. He's such a fucking cunt to her. She should go no contact. The drama just continues from here, and honestly, it doesn't fucking stop. Chi Yi tells Xu No he got confirmation through his brother that Bai Sha received a large money transfer from Shen Jiahe right before she met Xu Mingli. Then, when Bai Sha is at a maternity checkup at the hospital, she runs into Wu Tie, her one-night stand. Xu Mingli overhears him talking to her and gets suspicious. So now Xu Mingli tries to get a paternity test and lies to Bai Sha about why they need to go to a different hospital. Xu No has to go to the factory and there's an accident with one of the forklifts. Shen Jiahe momentarily thinks Xu No gets crushed beneath a bunch of boxes and absolutely loses his shit. The panic in this man's face and like he is digging through those boxes, it is just pure absolute panic and fear. When he realizes Xu No is actually fine, he runs to her and gets her up in a big ol' hug. I explain this bit specifically because his level of panic highlights to Xu No how much Shen Jiahe truly cares about her. And upon reflection of his previous dealings with Bai Sha, in this instance and at this moment, she sees he's fully devoted to her and decides to trust him. I love this for them, okay? This is what a relationship would be like. Chi Yi's clearly just a fucking jealous ex. And he's trying to sabotage them like Bai Sha. And she's like, fuck no, look at this man. He loves me. Okay, everything is building up to the wedding day now. Our two leads are neck deep in honeymoon bliss. Shinjae thanks Shuno for loving him and helping him let go of past grudges, meaning his grudge against Shumingli regarding like Lin Chongshan's death. It is now episode 31. Things are going so well. In fact, they're going too well, okay? This drama has 56 episodes. I am deeply suspicious. I'm waiting for things to shatter. Like, sorry to burst your bubble, but this is not the kind of drama where the two leads spend half the drama in marital bliss, okay? It's just not. I'm walking it on eggshells at this point. Shuming Lee confronts Bai Sha about the paternity test.
You are not.
They get into a huge argument. He wants a divorce, but she refuses to sign the papers because it states she will take the full responsibility of Xiaomei's debts. He tells her that's the price of her greed. Things get heated and Shuming Li pushes Bai Sha. She falls back onto the couch and everything causes her to go into labor. The baby is considered premature because she hasn't hit 39 weeks. And Bai Sha is told after some tests the baby has a congenital heart defect. Bai Sha asks Shuming Li to give her 500,000 yuan for the treatment costs and she'll sign the divorce papers. Basically taking on the million of yuan debt from Xiaomei. Shuno feels really bad about what's going on with Bai Sha and asks Shinjae to go on her behalf, but secretly, because she's worried if Bai Sha knows it's actually her, she won't accept the help. Before he can enter the hospital room, however, we overhear a very emotional scene where Bailan Hua curses Lin Chongshan for abandoning them. Yes, Bai Sha is Shenjahe's half-sister. Bai Sha is also coming to terms with her situation here. Okay, they're half-siblings. They also dated in high school. I don't know what to tell you. Bai Sha, yes, is also coming to terms with her situation here. Even without all the money stress and going back to live streaming, literal days after giving birth, her daughter's illness, the divorce, any woman who has lived through those first weeks postpartum knows your emotions are all over the fucking place. You are a mess. So Bai Sha, understandably, has a full breakdown. Wu Tie has also re-entered the picture around this time, still in love with Bai Sha and really wanting to help her in any way he can. He visits her in the hospital and secretly pays for one of the treatment bills for her daughter. And he also stands up for her against a shady investor. And this time he seems to get through to her because instead of getting mad at him, she seems somewhat touched. Bai Sha is growing as a character here, and I love it so much. He is also not a one-night stand. He is now a love interest. A love interest. Shinjae asks Aoja to look into stuff and confirms the connection between Bailan Hua and Lin Chongshan. Shuno also works with Chi to set up a charity foundation for kids with congenital heart disease because Chi does a lot of charity work and has set up charity foundations in the past. Shinjae finally meets Bai Sha at the hospital. He gives her a prepaid card, which she initially refuses, but he says it's a gift money for Shu Yuan, her daughter, and that they've known each other for so many years, so it's the least he can do. He also gives her the paperwork for the new Binhai Hospital Foundation for kids with congenital heart disease. When Bai Sha sees Shuno's name on it, she is surprised. Shinjae says Shuno hopes the foundation can start by helping Shu Yuan and then move on to help other children in the future. It's actually so lovely to see their relationship slowly starting to heal as they are growing as characters and people. Here we hit episode 33. It is the day before the wedding. our boy sets up a surprise for our nervous girl at the piano conservatory. She's also got a surprise for him, the ring he gave her, except she's added an engraving. Love is trust. Shuno says, never doubt how much I love you. She is repeating what Shinjaha previously said to her. Here they do a little pre-wedding vow exchange. Shuno says they are the same, saying the opposite of what they feel. They want the best for each other, but always try to hide it. She says no matter what happens, let's be honest with each other. They both promise not to hide anything from each other anymore, and Shinjaha resolves to fully let go of the past and move on for Shuno's sake. Finally, it's the day of the wedding. We've been building up to this for the last several episodes. It's been nothing but honeymoon scenes between our leads. We are eating that shit up like baby's first taste of birthday cake. Shuming Lee shows up to Su Rong's house and begs her to take him to the wedding because he didn't get an invitation. Honestly, no surprise. He doesn't deserve to go to the wedding. After a lot of begging, Su Rong, while annoyed, does reluctantly agree. Shinjahe is getting ready at his apartment when Bai Sha shows up. She says she's never been able to truly give them her blessing, and keeping what she knows would have been the best revenge, but she wants to do better for her daughter. She pulls out her phone and shows a recording she took of a drunk Shuming Lee confessing that Shinjahe is actually his biological son. Our boy is reeling. We, the viewer, are reeling. I mean, this is China. Understandably one of the most censored nations on planet Earth. And we have spent the last 15 episodes watching these two characters electrify the screen with their chemistry. What in the Mortal Instruments Cassandra Clare incest plot is this? I am in denial. Our boy is in denial. He tells Bai Sha to get out and physically removes her from the apartment. We are getting all of the flashbacks rolling through Shinjahe's mind every time Shuming Lee said they were siblings, every time he told him to stay away from Shuno. Now we're at the wedding and Gao Hao-en tells Dandan Shinjahe isn't there yet and he can't get a hold of him. We then jump to Su Rong, who realizes Shuming Lee tricked her and he is not going to the wedding venue. She is rightly pissed. She tries to call Shuno, but Shuming Lee takes her phone. She tries to get him to pull over so she can get out, but he doesn't. Shinjahe at this moment calls Shuming Lee on the phone and asks him if they are really siblings. Shuming Lee says, "So you finally found out. That's why you can't get married." Su Rong realizes it's Shinjahe on the phone and she tries to take the phone from Shuming Lee. Shuming Lee does not yield the phone. Chaos then ensues and they end up hitting another car head on. Shuno gets a call from the hospital saying her parents were in a car accident. She runs out. Chi-yi and Dandan follow after her. Hao-en shows up at the hospital a little after. Shuming Lee was injured, but not badly. He swerved the car and Su Rong's side got the brunt of the hit. Fucking typical. So she's rushed to emergency surgery. Dandan asks how they could suddenly get into a car accident, as if those are planned. But Chi-yi says the police said the other driver had a heart attack, but that Shuming Lee was on the phone with Shinjahe when it happened. Interesting that he knows about the phone call. Where did he get that information? The accident just happened. Also, why would the police tell him that? It almost seems like Chi-yi, who absolutely hates Shinjahe and is in love with Shuno, wants to paint doubt about Shinjahe's character and motives. I have no proof of that right now, but it's interesting. So now they are siblings again, and unfortunately, ooh, related. Oh God. Okay. All right. So Lin Chung-shan is now Bai Sha's dad, and they are now siblings related. And he is the bio son. Shinjahe finally gets to the hospital. Chi is in attack mode, but Hao En holds him back. Where are we? How? Right down here. Our two leads have hit their darkest hour. This is our all is lost moment. Shinjahe can barely look at Shuno. He is a broken man. He turns to walk away, but Shuno, who realizes he's there now, calls his name. His feet are rooted in place now and he can't move. Through a tear-stained face, she asks him,
沈嘉禾，我问你去哪儿了？
he says
我哪儿也没去。
she asks what he said on the phone when her parents had the accident. Shinjahe seems surprised that she knows about the phone call. Boy, you and me both, okay? But it's what Shinjahe says next that really is the gut punch.
我跟他们说，这个婚我不结了。
She tells him to repeat himself. And in barely a whisper, he somehow manages,
我不娶你了。
not I won't marry you, I can't marry you. Our girl fucking jets. And Chi finally gets his punch in. Clocks our boy right in the face so hard he falls back on the floor. There is so much that could have been said here, but I'm willing to give Shinjahe some grace because not only is he in shock that the love of his life is actually his half-sister, he's also trying to process his whole life being one big fat lie. Shinjahe confronts Shuming Lee in the hospital and asks him what happened. We get Shuming Lee's side of the story, which really just paints him as even more of a piece of shit. Basically, he is drunk and SAs Shunfen and knocks her up. She can't have an abortion without putting her life at risk. The Su family finds out, like Madame Su, and asks Shuming Lee to find out who the father is. At this time, Su Rong is also pregnant, and he doesn't want this to affect her. So Shuming Lee begs Lin Chongshan to take responsibility for the pregnancy, stating Shenfen is too loyal to Su Rong to ever tell her what happened. I guess I forgot to mention, but Shenfen used to be their housekeeper before Aunt Pei. Obviously, we understand why Aunt Pei replaced her. So in order to get Lin Chongshan to agree, Shuming Lee says he will secretly pay for Lin Chongshan's living expenses and have Yuan Fei give projects to his construction company as a priority over others. Guys, this is absolutely deplorable behavior. But what do we really expect from Shuming Lee at this point? He is a trash human being and deserves to be thrown in one. He also, at this time, confesses to driving Shenfen away.
You're a piece of shit, though. F you.
Shinjahe is trying so goddamn hard to hold back his desire to beat the living shit out of this trash can of a man. He is so angry, his whole body is shaking. Because let's recap everything Shinjahe believed about his father and his mother. And even Shuming Lee was all a lie that the adults told him, not to protect him, a child, but to protect themselves from the repercussions of their own terrible adult decisions. There's an understandable amount of anger here, anger that also masks hurt. He demands to be told everything that happened that year and warns Shuming Lee if he lies about anything, he will not spare him. So Lin Chongshan got into some money trouble. It's not specified why or how. He asks Shuming Lee for help, especially because he did such a big favor taking the blame for getting Shenfen pregnant. As we know, Shuming Lee says he'll do something and then likes to use really flowery language to explain why it's not his fault for things turning out bad when he bails. He suggests Lin Chongshan to commit insurance fraud by burning down their house, but he forgets to grab the journal and the bank card, and their son, Lin Yi, also says he forgot his Optimus Prime toy. So Lin Chongshan goes back to get everything, but a bookcase falls over and traps him inside the burning house. Shuming Lee says he knows what he did was wrong, but Chongshan was his friend, so how could he kill him or set fire to his house? He's like, besides, I'm your father.
I am your father.
Shen Jiahe laughs. And when I tell you, the laugh that leaves this man is the most unbelievable how dare you laugh I have ever fucking heard. He says he'll never recognize Shuming Lee as his father, and he'll make him pay twice for what he did to Shenfen. Shen Jiahe's only request is that Shuming Lee not tell Shuno about anything they talked about. What were those pre-wedding vows? We want what's best for each other, but we always try to hide it. Let's never hide anything from each other ever again. There was no caveat, bro. It wasn't yes except for the really dark parts. Anyways, this is the first time we see Shuming Lee look actually defeated. Shen Jiahe ends up in a random grassy field, as happens when you're wandering around aimlessly in despair, and he finally breaks down. He quite literally into the abyss. Shu No is also completely torn up by everything. Chi finds her crying in a random hallway at the hospital. She thought she was the happiest person in the world, but now her mom is in a coma, her dad got taken away by the police, her groom broke off their engagement on the wedding day. Chi tries to comfort her, and it seems to help a little, but your girl is grieving, okay? He even makes a case for Shen Jiahe, saying he wouldn't joke about marriage and tells her to try talking to him, which of course goes swimmingly. That's sarcasm. Our boy can't have his girl stuck in grief for long. She needs to forget him. And the easiest way to do that is to make her hate him again. So our boy defaults back to what he knows best. He is resolved to inflict maximum damage. They meet at the family house. Shen Jiahe is sitting on the steps outside, and Shuno arrives and tells him to go ahead and explain. He says, "You lost." He's got his serious face now. "Do you remember the rules of the game?" he says. "I had no true love for you at all, but you took it seriously." She calls bullshit. She's like, "Bro, I wasn't born yesterday." So he pulls out the trump card he's been hanging onto this whole time. The lie that he was told, he now tells to Shuno. Why he was different after his 18th birthday is because her father, Shuming Lee, caused the death of his father, Lin Chongshan, drove his mom crazy, and sent her to a mental hospital secretly.
你们全家都是我沈家和的仇人!
This is such a great manipulation, guys, because he sprinkles in a bunch of truth with the lies. It sounds so convincing, especially because she doesn't know Shen Jiahe is Shuming Lee's bio son. Now we see Shuno default back to her original biases and beliefs from the beginning of the series. It's all clicking in her head now. He's been waiting to get back at her dad this whole time. She asks if he introduced Bai Sha to her dad, and he laughs. He's like, "Shuno, you're too smart." He calls her his biggest obstacle. He gets really nasty here, and the delivery is really the nail in the coffin.
当初我把你气出国， 就是希望你在国外老老实实的当一个废物大小姐。
He says he used her like a tool, and now that he got what he wants, he doesn't have to pretend anymore. Fucking ouch, bro. Did you really have to go that far? But Shuno is not the type to take a hit without retaliation. She slaps him twice. I just sympathize with you like a homeless stray dog, she yells back. She's like, I'm the chairman of Yuan Fei now, and you're just a tool in my takeover. Shinjahe claps, like literally claps. He's like, that's great. Then we don't owe each other anything. And props to Shuno because she hits back just as hard. But the difference is Shuno isn't pretending like he is. She says,
我从来没有把你当做过家人。
and you see his mask slip a bit, but she continues, even a stray dog is loyal to its master, but you? How can a heartless, ungrateful soul like you be my family? Bro is seriously regretting every decision leading up to this point. It's raining now because when characters hit their lowest point, they must also get caught in the worst rainstorm of the season. I don't make the rules. Shuno takes their wedding photos out to the balcony, rips them up, and tosses them. It's quite a beautiful cinematic shot, to be honest. The photos hit Shinjahe on the stairs outside. He picks one up and collapses in the rain. So now you have Shuno sobbing on the balcony and Shinjahe sobbing on the stairs. Fucking great. This is great. Love where this is headed, guys. We were just in marital bliss and now fucking this shit. We hit the next morning. Shuno wakes up. She can't find her phone. She goes downstairs. The doors are locked and there's security guarding all entry and exit points. She's asking herself why Shinjahe wants to keep her trapped in the house. Shinjahe comes home later in the evening and finds Shuno sitting at the dining room table, opening and closing the ring box. There is a wine bottle and empty glass in front of her. He turns to leave, but she has something to tell him, so he reluctantly sits down across from her. Shuno apologizes for what she said the night before. Her dad killed his dad, but her mom is in the hospital and her dad is in custody. He got picked up by the police once he was fit to leave the hospital. I forgot to say that. She says they're even now. She tells him to let her go. Shinjahe gets up without saying a word and walks away, but stops when Shuno calls his name. Again, this boy is rooted to the spot every time. She doesn't understand why he won't let her go if he hates her so much, and comes to the conclusion that he must want to torture her. She smashes the wine bottle and goes to cut her wrist with the broken piece. He finally tells her that once he's taken care of everything he needs to, he'll let her go. She asks him what he's planning, and he tells her she doesn't need to know. Of fucking course. Now, as the viewer, we get extra information. Shinjahe gets a call from Aoji, who says the driver has woken up and insists it was an accident, except he was recently fired from Yuanfei for financial crimes, so Shinjahe says it's too much of a coincidence. He says someone must be behind the accident and tells Aoji to increase security around the hospital and watch for suspicious people around the house. Above all, make sure Shuno is safe. So it's likely he's keeping Shuno in the house because he doesn't know if she is also a target.
以后不管发生什么事，我们都要对彼此坦诚。
好。
Let's not hide anything from each other.
That was a lie.
Shuno is fucking smart though. She purposefully makes herself ill so that Shinjahe will call the doctor. Then she slips the paper into the doctor's bag. This note reaches Dandan, who calls Chiyi. Because Shinjahe can't have anyone loyal to Shuno in the house, and also possibly to keep her out of harm's way, he sends Aunt Pei away for a bit and gets a new housekeeper. This housekeeper is sent by Chiyi. Shuno pretends to drink too much the following night and breaks a glass. She plays up missing her mom and being distraught over not being able to visit her in the hospital. He scolds her for drinking so much, but she says that she's drinking and he's drinking with her. She's gonna get him drunk so that she can escape. He challenges that she doesn't have what it takes to get him drunk, but he is so fucking wrong, guys. Because Shuno drugs him and fucking jets. A couple things happen now. First, Chi brings Shuno to speak with the driver. Here we find out Shinjahe has come to question him, and specifically from Chi, we are told Shinjahe's number is in the call history of the driver. When asked about it, the driver dodges the question. Why does Chi have all of Shinjahe's call records, guys? Second, Chi bumps into Shinjahe at the hospital. Shuno runs to hide around a corner. During this conversation, Chi implies that Shuno is staying with him and wants nothing to do with Shinjahe. He's like, fine, then take good care of her, and says he'll disappear. What the fuck? Our girl is understandably still grieving, and Chi, well, instead of expressing concern about Shuno's well-being or confronting Shinjahe about Shuno's confinement, he's gloating about how Shuno is now with him. He looks like such a smug little bastard. I'm gonna be honest. It's really giving toxic nice guy vibes. After, when Chi and Shuno are back at Dandan's apartment, Chi goes so far as to suggest perhaps Shinjahe has something to do with the accident. So here we are seeing a case being set up against Shinjahe, which could be for a number of reasons. Perhaps the writers are trying to set us up for the next part of the plot and potentially drop some twist regarding Shinjahe's character that we have not been privy to up to this point. This is not uncommon in Asian dramas. Take Baek Hee-sung's character from Flower of Evil as an example, or Edward Park's character in Vagabond, or even Yoon Ji-woo's character in My Name. But we also want to think critically here and ask ourselves about Chi's motivations. Because this is now 4 times Chi has thrown Shinjahe under suspicion in front of Shuno. And with us knowing he is in love with her and also has an increasing dislike towards Shinjahe, we must ask ourselves if his motives are really pure here. Because no other character is trying so hard to paint Shinjahe as the villain. Things at Yuanfei aren't going much better. Shinjahe finds out through one of the shareholders that Shuno is trying to mobilize people to push him out of Yuanfei's presidency. When he confronts her about the negative repercussions of firing him, since, as we learned back in My Lethal Man, the constant CEO changeovers cause the company's share price to yo-yo and unstable stocks make for anxious shareholders, she doesn't believe he has Yuanfei's best interest in mind. Remember, her default is that Shinjahe is selfish and only out for himself. Of course, he wants to deter her from firing him. She accuses him of wanting to come after her now that her mom and dad are out of the way. Shinjahe insists he had nothing to do with Surong's accident. At this moment, Chi shows up and asks him about the call history and also accuses him of reporting Shuming Lee to the cops. With Chi there to back her up, Shinjahe finally leaves. And in a text exchange, Suting asks Shuno what she's willing to sacrifice in order to push Shinjahe out of the company. If it means halting Yuanfei's growth for a period of time, is she still willing to do it? At this time, news outlets get wind of Shinjahe and Shuno's breakup. The instability causes Yuanfei's stock price to plummet. Dandan asks if Shinjahe could potentially be behind it, but Shuno says that would be stupid because he already has Yuanfei in the palm of his hand, so announcing the breakup doesn't benefit him at all. Dan Dan then suggests Chi if he would do it, but Shuno says he's not that kind of person and instead wonders if it's Chi's brother, Chihao, since SJ would benefit the most from Yuan Fei's decline. In order to clear up things with the public, Shuno and Shinjahe agree to release a public statement since nobody actually cares about their marital or divorce status, only about Yuan Fei's interests. Gao Hao En says as long as they release a video together saying they never got married and parted on good terms, it should clear up the whole issue. He then comments on how oddly in sync they are wearing matching outfits. They get 2 seconds into the video and Hao En stops it. He's like, guys, anyone with eyes can tell there's tension between you two. He makes them sit a little closer together. Take 2, he stops them again, criticizing Shuno's facial expressions for being too fake. He's like, I am begging you. At this rate, Yuan Fei might actually go under and I don't want to lose my job. Fair, it's 2025. The job market is terrible right now. Nobody wants to be looking for a job. He's like, imagine what it was like the night before your wedding. We get a flashback and Shinjahe gets this smirk on his face, but ends up being like, oh shit, I shouldn't be thinking of this. Hao En walks over and tries to force them together. They knock shoulders and both freak out. Hao En is like, look at you two. The second you touch, it's like a jolt of electricity. Remembering, Shinjahe believes they are half siblings right now. Hao En goes into hype mode. Shinjahe and Shuno are again completely in sync to an uncanny degree. Hao En is having a serious what the fuck moment. We are all in denial at this moment. Xu Mingli is not an outright liar, but he is most definitely a man who knows how to use words to best suit his interests. And he is both honey-tongued and snake-tongued depending on the situation. I am now thinking of literally any way they could somehow not be related based on given information, and I cannot see it. I am dying inside. Anyways, they finally get the video recorded and Shuno gets a call from the hospital that her mom is in critical condition. She is rushed back to surgery and we are given some pretty devastating news. While they've managed to stabilize Surong for now, she is still in critical condition and the doctor tells them they should be prepared as she might remain in a coma. Shuno is understandably devastated by this news. Later in the hospital room, they are visited by the Su family lawyer and given Surong's will. In it, it states that Shinjahe will be given the right to end treatment. The lawyer explains that Surong thought it would be too painful for Shuno to make the choice and that Shinjahe would be more rational and better able to judge what's best for her. Shuno is extremely upset by this and Shinjahe looks shocked. She tells him to leave and he quite respectfully does, like immediately. In my brain, I'm like, how can he be the bad guy? Fuck. Chi finds Shuno in the same hallway at the hospital and confesses to her. He literally explains that he was happy the marriage didn't go through and that he gets a second chance to be by her side. As if somehow ending his speech with, but you don't have to give me an answer now. Let's just focus on taking care of Aunt Rong and we'll deal with everything else later. It gives me so much ick. Remember in My Lethal Man when Yang Xincheng finally confesses to Shen Manning and how significantly placed it was? The weight it carried to be said at that exact moment? This is the opposite of that. And it really is giving us so much more insight into Chi's character. With Shinjahe, the most important thing to him was protecting Shuno's happiness and hyping her success, giving her the opportunity to shine in front of others so that they saw what he saw. But Chi only cares about his own happiness. Instead of being happy for Shuno, he is celebrating her lowest moment because he thinks it can give him a chance with her, and because she's in such a vulnerable place emotionally, it feels extremely predatory. We end with Shuno taking care of her mother at the hospital. She proceeds to delete every trace of Shinjaha from her phone, all the photos, and even his contact card. Meanwhile, Shinjaha is having an emotional breakdown at the bar after drinking half a bottle of Aberfeldy single malt Scotch whiskey. You're like, wow, that's oddly specific, but I need you to fully understand how intoxicated this man is. Someone at this blood alcohol level does not want to be aware that they even exist. By the time Gao Hao En gets there, he can't even sit up in the chair, let alone walk anywhere. This breakup has absolutely destroyed him, and he is clearly not coping. Next, Shuming Li enters the family house and asks why Shinjahe bailed him out after sending him to jail. He says he wasn't the one who sent him to jail because if he was, he wouldn't be getting out. Shinjahe asks Shuming Li if he sent his assistant to search his apartment, but Shuming Li asks why he would do that. Shinjahe confesses that he is actually his man and he planted him close to Shuming Li on purpose. From here, they realize that if the assistant is lying to both of them, he must be working for an unknown third party. Shuming Li thinks it must be Chihao because obviously mortal enemies. Everything's Chihao. We next jump to a masked man entering the driver's hospital room and trying to inject him with something. Shuno enters during their altercation and tries to stop the attack, but gets pushed into the wall and injures her ankle. Chi enters, crashes into the attacker as he is escaping, and Shuno tells him to run after the guy. We get a flashback here of the driver as he's reeling from the shock of almost being murdered. He is in his van, stepping on the gas pedal and ramming the car on purpose. They call the police and Chi gives a vague statement that the attacker was wearing a ball cap and mask and so he couldn't get a good look at him. Shuno gives a more detailed description, about 175 centimeters tall, very thin. She tells the police that the dose of hypnotics was very high, and whether he meant to kill or kidnap, it proves that her parents' car accident was not a simple accident. During a conversation between Shuno and Dandan, we learn Shinjahe spoke to the driver about the work stuff as he needed to apply for some relief fund, like how you need your employment record to apply for EI, I think. Shinjahe and Aoji are also doing an investigation into the driver. Apparently, he drives a taxi service to make ends meet, and there was a note left one day saying he could make a lot of money by causing a car accident. He just needed to trade a few years in jail for a lot of money. He was also told to call Shinjahe before to plant suspicion on him. So now both our leads are doing their own investigation separately. Aoji says the money went through several different accounts, but was traced back to SJ, so it must be Chihao. Shinjahe says he originally thought so too, but when all the evidence pointed to him so easily, he began to have doubts. He says Chihao built SJ to where it is. He is a smart man and wouldn't ruin his success so easily. Shuno gets a text from Chi that says the hospital surveillance cameras went down the day before the attack. Shuno thinks back to the attacker and thinks he looks familiar but can't quite place him. She wonders if she's seen him around Chi before. Shinjahe thinks someone is trying to paint suspicion on him and also deliberately led the police to suspect Chihao. The real culprit knows the conflict between Chihao and Yuanfei very well and can use SJ's accounts to make payments. Aozhi realizes who he is implicating. Chiyi? But why? Shinjahe agrees. Why? Xu Mingli was arrested, Su Rong had an accident, him and Nuo are at odds, Yuanfei is falling apart. Shinjahe asks, what kind of person would want to see a situation like today? Only enemies. People who have a deep grudge against the Xu family. The people who have a deep grudge against Xu Mingli are Lin Chongshan and his family. Shinjahe starts to suspect that Chiyi might be the vanished son, Lin Yi, who, if you remember, way back at the beginning of the series, Shinjahe had hired that private investigator to try and find, and they said they couldn't. He talks to Baisha and asks if she remembers anything about her dad, but she says no, that when he got married and had a son, he cut them off completely. He asks if she remembers his son, what he looks like, but she says she doesn't remember much now. Shuno arrives to the house and sees them talking but walks away. Baisha is surprised and says,
你没告诉他。
implying about how Shinjahe is Xu Mingli's bio son. And he says,
一个人难受就行了，为什么非得两个人呢？
why does it have to be two people? Baisha scolds him and says Shuno deserves to know. He's always making decisions for other people, but he should ask her what she thinks. She's like,
你敢说你彻底放下了？你看他的眼神，骗得了谁啊？
During this interaction, we're really starting to see more of Baisha's character growth and maturity. At one point, when talking about her daughter, you can really tell that she wants to improve and be a better person. Having Xu Yuan has forced her to grow up. I mean, she's even standing up for Xu No, something that never would have happened previously. She is able to step back in situations and see more of the whole now, see different perspectives. I love this, and I love this for her character, and I also love how these secondary characters get their own character arc and growth. It's so satisfying as a viewer. Shuno gets a photo sent of Chiyi's assistant, this guy, Adong. It's while she's staring at this photo that Chiyi calls her to ask if she thinks it's suspicious that the surveillance cameras went down at that exact time. He then asks her if she remembers his assistant, Adong, stating he thinks whoever is doing this stuff must be close to him. He thinks the figure in black resembles Adong and says it's strange because after that day he went on vacation and never came back. Chiyi says he thinks Chihao has something to do with what's going on. Chiyi asks for Shuno's help to get proof. We jump to Shuno and Chiyi in the car outside SJ building, listening to a conversation between Adong and Chihao, who are trying to get a hold of Chiyi but can't. Adong sees the listening device under the glass table and pulls it out. This angers Chihao, who goes out to confront Chiyi with a baseball bat. The encounter culminates in Chihao beating him with the bat while his guards lock Shuno in the car. They hold the door shut so she can't get out. Chihao is telling him to stop meeting Shuno, and he doesn't know why he's so infatuated with her. Doesn't he know what kind of relationship SJ has with Yuanfei? He just needs to be obedient. And Chiyi, you can tell, absolutely loathes his brother. Shuno and Chiyi finally can leave and are discussing about the situation. Shuno feels bad that Chiyi ended up getting a beating because they were trying to get evidence, but Chiyi plays it off because he's used to it. You can see their relationship getting a little bit closer now. We get a scene where Bai Lanhua goes to the villa to meet Bai Sha. She says she's worried about her and brings a dress for Shu Yuan, but it's not a good faith visit, and Bai Lanhua steals the money card Bai Sha had gotten from Shinjahe as a loan to help with expenses and Shu Yuan. When Bai Sha realizes the card is gone, she calls Shinjahe and then goes to confront her mom at the gambling den. Bai Sha is pissed and demands Bai Lanhua give the money back, stating, If that line does not absolutely kill you and really hammer home how terrible a sickness addiction is, I don't know what does. Bai Sha gets into a heated argument with the owner of the gambling den, and Bai Lanhua smashes a bottle over his head to protect Bai Sha from getting hurt by him. They then flee the scene. As they're about to get caught, Shinjahe shows up and fights off the attackers, telling them he called the police before he came, so they should go if they don't want to go to the jail. Back at the house, Bai Lanhua gives the card back, saying she didn't spend any of the money on it because she didn't know the PIN code. As if that makes it better. Bai Sha tells her if she ever goes back to the gambling den, it really will be the end of their relationship. Shinjahe takes this opportunity to ask Bai Lanhua about her relationship with Xu Mingli and asks if she remembers Lin Yi and what he looks like. She says of course she does, but after all these years he must look very different. Bai Lanhua states that Lin Chongshan always said his son would be rich because of a birthmark he had on his lower back. We get a flashback where Shinjahe recalls not seeing a birthmark one time when the three of them were in the locker room at school. He shows her a picture of Chiyi, but Bai Lanhua says she can't tell if that's Lin Yi. Shinjahe talks to Aozhi and asks to investigate the kindergarten that Lin Yi attended and try and find a photo of him from back then. And I think this is a good place to end part 2. I know, everything is a mess, but where is there ever a great place to end in the middle of a series? We're entering the tail end and things start to really heat up from here. I don't think there's going to be a better time to cut. If you made it this far, thank you. As always, if you like this kind of content and would like to see more of it, please consider leaving me a like, a comment, and subscribing. It's free and it really helps me out. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments, and I will see you guys all in part 3. Bye!